Today's video is a continuation of my previous video talking about the athlete that people are calling out for being a dude, but then people are talking about intersex. This is such a great topic. This is where transvestigation should have led you. If you were around for the times of transvestigation and you weren't following a shill channel, where that should bring you is to understanding intersex conditions and that they're not rare at all. And if you want to even get into it, I personally believe that more than 50% of people today are intersex in some way, shape, or form. If you understand about free martins, and I think that it all has come from previous generations. We are living in the crumbs of ancient civilizations that were way beyond what we have today in terms of art, science, even though today they lie and tell us that this stuff has never been done before. And I think that they had entire classes of individuals. I think that they were really into, just think of how India is really good at keeping traditions, and they're still very heavily into the caste system. I think that entire caste systems, entire societies were made of intersex people on purpose in times past as eugenics. I think that, sometimes when they tell you that something's a future event, the truth is that it's already happened and you're living in it. So the whole Orwellian, the thing about 1984, they try to pretend that it's in the future, even though we're way past 1984 by this point. But the thing is that all of that stuff was actually already happening at the time. And what's the other one? Huxley, Brave New World. That wasn't prophetic, it was historical. And so that's where we are. Go watch my video if you have no idea what I'm talking about. Go to my videos, sort by popular, watch The Truth Explained Simply. The point of my last video was, yeah, you have inverted people complaining about other inverted people. I've recently been watching some old gymnastics stuff from like the 70s and before, and it's hilarious watching the comment or reading through the comments. So many people, oh, they're so much more feminine, and no, they weren't. They've always been inverted all the way back then. They just were skinnier and less muscular, but they were just as much inverted skeletons as they are today. And today, the ones who complain about, oh, I don't want to box a dude, well, you're a dude too. You're in the same way. You're just less dudely. And this is a truth. There are intersex people all around. They've always been the ones, women's sports, as long as our history is, women's sports has always been dominated by intersex women. Let's read this. I want to read through the comments. This is a topic I could go on and on about hours and hours. So let's just read the comments and see what comes to mind. My condition is called complete androgen insensitivity syndrome. There's more than one way for this to happen. There's tons of ways for people to become intersex. And no, I don't think that this is the most common type of intersex. And I think that that's probably why this is getting traction, and because they want you to think that these things are super rare when they're not. And they will never talk about free martins, because that's the biggest one, when you realize that, wait a minute, more than half the entire world is intersex. If you really think about it, in terms of skeletons matching external genitalia, which is what it comes down to at the end of the day. That's why that secret society is called Skulls and Bones. Okay, I'm 19 and I found out I had this condition when I was 16. This condition is very rare. That's possibly a truth, but I'm telling you that intersex is not rare. Swyer syndrome, I think, is probably the more common version. Please be respectful. Somebody asked, how did you find out about your condition since you discovered as a teenager? Was it because you weren't getting a period? Did they test your estrogen and testosterone levels when they diagnosed you? It's a funny story, actually. When I was 16, I saw a TikTok about a woman who was donating her eggs so a couple could have a baby. I was inspired by this, so I decided to go downstairs and talk to my mom about it. At this point, I had no idea. I was talking to her about this. As I was talking to her about this, she just suddenly broke down in tears and told me everything. The rest is history. Please read below for more details. So, not atypical, I would say. I don't know. So I don't know. these club members, so I don't think that this would be a club member, but the big club out there, you know, it was George Carlin, the joke about there's a big club. It's a big club. There's a big club out there. Birds of a feather flock together. There's a reason that the popular girls look like Paris Hilton with those giant jaws and long necks. And there's a reason that society tries to tell people that skinny is feminine. No, that's not the way it works. Femininity is not being stick skinny with large square shoulders and big jaws like the Paris Hilton types and the Valley girls that are popular at school and that relentlessly torment the women that don't look like that. But I guess my point here is not everybody has this scenario where they just like find out one day when they're 16, but a lot of them do because their parents are cowards. And not everybody is a club member that just because you're intersex does not mean that you're going to be loved by the world. And I mean, most intersex people are cannon fodder and they're just ignored. Like free martins are the lowest class that there is, and they get treated like dirt and cannon fodder and just abused by the system. And only certain free martins are in the club and get pumped full of hormones and turned into Disney Prince characters and live easy lives. I'd say for the most part, free martins don't even know what they are, and they're just thrown into the mix. Swire syndromes and castrati and dudes that are initiated and wear dresses, they have much higher value socially, and a lot of times they're taught about it earlier than this. I don't think that this is very typical to not be told about it so late. And most the popular kids, I think that they're taught about this stuff as early as they can kind of figure it out. You see them teach their children how to do hand signs pretty young. You see them start wearing a lot of orange in like 5th grade, maybe. Just things, it's gradual. It's not, they don't lay it all out on them right away. Middle school is when you start hearing these kids joke about how long your ring finger is and what that might mean about what's going on in your pants and stuff. That's when the middle school antics start coming out. They don't teach digit ratio in middle school biology. Why are the popular boys making jokes about digit ratio, but not saying that's what it is? Well, it's because they're being initiated behind the scenes. The cool kids, the kids that are in the club, they're being taught information about intersex conditions, human anatomy, behind the scenes, behind closed doors, maybe in stupid clubs that they go to. I don't know. Every once in a while, my brother would like go to an event. My sister, when she was a teenager, she went off to Costa Rica and just with my mom, and nobody else went with her. I always thought that was weird. Why does she get to go on this cool trip and nobody else? It's not like our family couldn't afford to take everybody on a trip. Well, it's because that's when she was being talking about the birds and the bees with the inverted stuff, in my opinion. And right, because that's about the age, that the puberty stuff. And the martins, they get told, it's usually middle school, I think, when the martins start getting injected with hormones and steroids. There might be a fake, some sort of psyop where they allegedly get hurt and they have an eyebrow scar now or a chin scar. Go watch my somewhat recent video on eyebrow scars and chin scars. Hi, thanks for asking. My mother kept this information from me because she wanted to wait until I was mature enough to process and understand the information. Not all the swires are I mean, this isn't even swire. This is something more rare, I think. But it's not just, there's so many different ways that this can happen. And so it is possible that complete, whatever this person has, complete androgen insensitivity, this could be pretty rare. But it's not rare to have externally female genitalia, but to have the skeleton of a man. Now, down to chromosomes, too. I think that this person does have XY chromosomes, but I don't think that chromosomes explain everything. But it's possible. It's actually kind of funny, because, I mean, this just reminds me of something that the pastor where I go to church was recently talking about Genesis stuff and Adam and Eve and like men and women, and then he made some claim about, you know, at the end of the day we're all either XX or XY. And it's just so funny because how wrong that is. XX doesn't always mean vagina, and XY doesn't always mean penis. And there's people literally sitting like right behind me in church right now who certainly have XY but live as a woman. And I wonder if the pastor knows about that or not. I mean, live as a woman. That's the thing is, I don't have a problem. If you're swire and you feel like a woman and you are, I don't want to say that you're not a woman, but everybody should be taught about intersex conditions, the 4 types of people. I think that this should be common knowledge. I think that this is heavily gatekept information because they don't want people knowing about this. And yeah, family, I mean, this just shows you that people who even know about this stuff will hide it from even family members if they, for whatever reason, they're not being initiated. Not everybody is like a Baphomet, satanic, worshipping club member, but everybody in some way or another is affected by this end game eugenics program. And so that's where I think you get cases like this where this just feels more innocent to me. Whereas the middle schoolers who are going around taunting people and talking about digit ratio, that feels much more sinister, behind closed doors, whispering, they're being taught about this stuff secretly. So this is interesting. I was dating my current partner when I found out I had this condition. We had an open, honest conversation, and he was really accepting and nothing had changed between us. Wow, I really wish the Swire syndrome person that I dated taught me about this. And I don't think that I'm a bigot or anything. I've never really been attracted to that type of woman because, I mean, that it shares the same skeleton with me. They look like me. And man, so much frustration, strife in my younger years all revolves around this. I know it might sound crazy to people who don't know about this stuff. When I learned about the 4 types of people, it's like everything in my life came into perspective. That's how important this stuff is. And anyways, no, they don't always tell their partner. There are a lot of Freemartins out there that are trying desperately to get their wife pregnant, and that ain't never going to happen. And I don't think that they are any wiser. And then they go through all the fertility stuff. There's a reason fertility treatments and centers are everywhere. IVF. And I mean, this, to take you back to, this is nothing new. The incubator babies, they were cranking this. There's a reason that they were using incubators, because it's all of this wacky eugenics stuff. That they've had this technology of IVF, and this is nothing new. They like to tell you that this is modern medicine. They make it shiny. They make it smell like isopropyl alcohol. They make you think that this has never been done before. Where, who knows, maybe they could have just used an obsidian thing, cut people open. How technologically advanced is it to slice somebody open? Especially if they don't care if they're killing somebody. I don't think that's very technologically advanced to slice people open and harvest things. Get sperm, mix them together. Get a turkey baster. Anyways. So this person has a specific condition where their body doesn't react to testosterone at all. That is not always the case. Because this person had very specific symptoms, like no armpit hair, no Klinefelter is another similar thing where they have other things. Because I think Swire syndrome do get body hair. It's like less. This is where it's a spectrum. It's not black and white. There's more than one way to become intersex, and they're not all the same. But on the world stage, that's all you get. You get the different shades of intersex on the world stage, but they never put in a spotlight what is supposed to be just a natural woman skeleton type. That doesn't appear. A natural male certainly doesn't appear unless it's wearing a dress and being all promiscuous and trying to be sexy. I have 0 male-like traits. No Adam's apple, no deep voice, no broad shoulders. See, this isn't typical. A lot of the popular girls, like Paris Hilton, have massive jaws. Their real voice is very deep. That's why they talk with fake voices. They have broad shoulders. They have Adam's apples. Sandra Bullock has an Adam's apple. A lot of times with those ones, Sandra Bullock's and Paris Hilton probably swing dong, and that's why they look like that. In other cases, Swire syndrome can have masculine features because they don't have this condition where their body literally can't react to testosterone. Transgender people, I mean, this is a good topic. Transgender people have issues with their gender identity. But I was born with a medical condition that affects my reproductive organs' chromosomes. I don't identify as transgender because I have no desire to change my gender. Born that way. This is endgame transvestigation, is this. It's intersex. And they've always been around. And they'll lie to you about how frequently it occurs because they don't want you to know. Yeah, so my aunt never really knew that she actually had my condition. All she knew was that she was unable to have children. Keep in mind, back in the 70s and 80s, this condition didn't even exist in medical textbooks. Only when I was born and everything transpired, she found out more. So some people just are never told. I think that it's possible my aunt was like this, but I don't know. It's so hard to tell with these people. I mean, a lot of these people, they're liars, and they lie to the grave, and they live the lie. They fake it till they make it. Sometimes I think they become totally delusional and lose all grasp of reality, and they start believing that they actually are a woman and that they could get pregnant naturally. I don't know. But anyways, the actual figure for intersex people is much lower. Most of that 1.7 includes conditions which aren't typically defined as intersex. This is bullshit. This is the biggest lie that they'll tell you that it's rare. If you understand about free martins, the number of intersex people is over 50%. Period. If you take away free martins, then it depends on your location. But it's always going to be the castrati and the men who wear dresses that are a higher status. So the women are just breeders. Like, my mind goes to like Mexico. In Mexico, you still have tons of natural women that have female skeletons, but it's because it's like a free martin breeding capital of the world, basically. Think of like the Philippines and stuff like that too. You have higher populations of natural women, but they're just like breeders to make these huge populations of free martins. All publicity is good publicity for my mega unknown condition. It's not mega unknown. People know about it. I mean, you have a special flair of it, but being a dude skeleton with a vagina, that's not new. It's not shocking. It's just, shh, it's the secret. It does make me sad that not many people know. They do. They just keep it secret. Tons of people know about this stuff. They just never told you about it. Your mom knew about this. She didn't tell you about it for 16 years. The only reason she even told you is because she probably has somewhat of humanity in her, and you caught her in a hard place, and then she finally came free and told you. She had 16 years to explain this to you, and she left you in the dark. Stay positive and educate people in respectful ways. I mean, really, you're just muddying the waters. Klinefelter syndrome is different. I think an example of Klinefelter syndrome is like Nina Simone. It usually comes with some like mental disorders where you're going to tell that they're mentally a little bit different if you have a whole on extra chromosome going on. There have been a number of female Olympic athletes with my condition, so I'd assume it's untrue. I don't know what the question was, but yeah, they're all this way, one way or another. There are not. It would be so rare, I believe. Somebody would have to leave a comment of somebody who truly has a female skeleton that is a female Olympic athlete. I just don't know. They're all in the club. They're all intersex or just straight up have male genitals. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's just where I'll say again, because is a free martin has male genitals, but they're female in a certain way. So, anyways, I don't know. I'm just rambling at this point. Um, this world sucks, and if everybody knew the truth, it would be a lot easier and less confusion. And but the main point is the ones causing the biggest fuss, the ones screeching the loudest about, oh, how outrageous for this man to be pretending to be a woman and doing boxing. They know what's going on exactly. They're just pointing at the ones that are more manly and trying to say that's the dude, but nobody else is a dude. But the secret is that they're all a dude in the same way, more or less. And this is all a secret that we share, but I'm just mad because you're more manly than me, but still getting away with it. And yeah, that's it. Let me know what you think in the comments. God bless everyone.